807, 5 days into summer and 2 days away from St. Kitts Music Festival 2024. And we are on. I got my boy AZ. My man.
Good morning. How is everybody? Jamsa, how are you?
Well, it's good to have my mic fixed.
Yes, we can hear you now. Well, the audience can hear you. Those listening via radio, social media, they can hear you. Even though as I was saying with you earlier, it seemed like some persons, can't for whatever reason. So we apologize to those persons. We hope that, there are other ways in which you can listen. We encourage you to listen on Facebook, YouTube. There is what?
And the website.
Yes, the website, well, yes.
WINNMediaSN.com, because even if a transmitter is down, it appears that, to your point, it might be an antenna, because I don't think electricity would be off this long. So it's probably, and that would be at Atlas level.
Yeah, and they were saying too with their vehicle, so like the vehicle, so
okay,
that usually,
that sounds like the antenna,
definitely.
Okay.
So again, apologies. We're going to see what best can be done, but those persons, it's Tuesday already. Oh my gosh! And as you say, it's 2 days away from the St. Kitts Music Festival, and we are having so many things. Just yesterday, we had the police officers here. They discussed the routes, what to do, what not to do during the time in town during the St. Kitts Music Festival, which roads are going to be blocked off. And so if you missed that episode, we encourage you to go back. That's the power of social media. Go back to yesterday's edition of Island Tea, and you can get the information during our discussion during traffic talks. So if it is that you are unaware, there are going to be some roads you won't be able to come down those roads. I think one of them that I remember from yesterday was Victoria Road. You would only be able to go up, and then East Park Range Road you come down. So, and then they was talking about parking along Lozak Road. So you really, if you missed that traffic talk, then you should go back to what we discussed yesterday, Monday, the 24th of June, 2024. And there's so many things happening in the news. I was looking at some, regional news.
You want? Let's take this call.
Oh, we have a call already. Okay, no problem.
Okay, caller, go right ahead.
Yes.
I knew it was you. Someone knew it was him.
Culture, what's up, yeah, man?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I have a new name for you all.
What's that?
You probably won't be flattering.
N-A-T?
N-H-T.
Or NHT?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Non-hiding team.
Yes.
Non-hiding team?
Yes.
Yes. Because you all use media platform to let the listening audience know what is going on. Whether it is negative, when I say negative, whether it is something
bad
gone
or
wrong,
good, yeah.
all right.
Yes.
You all don't hide nothing.
Thank you so much.
And I'm grateful you all program.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thanks.
Culture.
Now, something sad took place. Number 17.
Oh, yes.
In the Federation.
Yes.
That is sad.
In Nevis, I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I'm going to show you something. Now, if a would-be perpetrator has a plan to go and do something wrong, which is bad, and it is breaking the law,
Mm-hmm.
they already get the advice from someone who should know better and give an advice that is constructive and not negative and destructive. All that perpetrator has to do, prepare themselves before, make sure everything is clear, and then go and perpetrate the damage. And when they're done, they just follow the instructions what they get. I have said I criticize the instruction that was given to the listening audience when that instruction was given.
Yes, and we understand. We know you're referring to, well, I know that you're referring to the national advisor, I assume, and the press conference that was done maybe a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the moderator of a talk show tell the engineer, shut down, he cut off his. You don't want to hear that. But he wants to hear to talk about vice cartel far in Jamaica. And you don't want to hear what's going on in the Federation. So I have to give you all kudos for the name that they give you all. NHT. Non-hiding team. Thank you all so long.
Thank you so much, Mr. Culture. And of course, we want to say, condolences. We want to express our condolences to the family, friends, well-wishers,
Me too.
of the victim. It is really sad. Murder number 17. It is unfortunate. And of course, as we continue to push along, we continue to echo that, crime is a problem that affects us all, regardless of our walk of life. It cuts across all social platforms, and cuts across our society. So it's really unfortunate, and a life lost can't be regained, and it's really sad.
So where was this? I was on the phone.
It was I was driving here. I think I saw some information saying that it was in Nevis. Yeah, so yeah. It's very unfortunate. Very, very, very much unfortunate. Yeah.
Wow.
And this is in line, especially when we look at the fact that the government just recently, parliamentarians went to parliament and they had the gun amnesty. And despite of that, it seems like even after that, it seemed like it's been a hike when it comes to persons brandishing their guns. We look at the robbery that took place, and the camera footage is really telling. And so we all have to be safe. We all have to be cognizant of our surroundings, aware, knowing that, you really have to be careful. I was looking at some information, and it seems to me that there's going to be a CARICOM Heads of Government meeting very shortly, July 4th or July 3rd. I spot it, yes. So there's a CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, and it's supposed to be in Grenada. And it says here, and I'm reading from Loop News, the Loop Caribbean. It says the Caribbean Community Heads of Government will meet in St. George's, Grenada from July 3rd to 5th for the 47th regular meeting. And it says here the meeting's agenda will comprise the agri-food systems agenda, which prioritizes food and nutrition security, climate change, sustainable development, foreign policy, the CARICOM single market and economy, and the engagement with social partners. Going on and just looking at some of the highlights in this, it says that the heads of government will also review the progress towards the goals for full free movement and a 25% reduction in food imports by 2025. So here they will review, and we've had talks about the full free movement of CARICOM nationals. And of course, there has been discussion as relates to the 25 by 25 agenda, which speaks to 25% reduction in food imports by 2025, which is a regional initiative. The incoming chairman for the CARICOM is the Prime Minister of Grenada, Deacon Mitchell. He is lead head of the government for science and technology, including information and communication in the CARICOM quasi-cabinet. And it also says in this is that two distinguished sons of the region, and they say Sir Clive Lloyd, and they said Rainford will receive the Order of the Caribbean Community during the opening ceremony scheduled on Wednesday, 3rd at the St. George's University. Okay, so there's going to be some awards being given the Order of the Caribbean Community, and that is Roderick Rainford, who is the former Secretary General of CARICOM, and legendary Guyanese cricketer Sir Clive Lloyd is also going to get that award, that honor. And so here it speaks about the meeting of the CARICOM, and it's again the highlight. So looking forward to the outcome of this meeting, as they are going to be looking at the full free movement and also the 25 by 25 agenda. So hopefully we could get some information as to what is happening. We have a call. Caller, you're live on Island T.
Okay, on to the next caller. Go right ahead.
Hi, good morning, Chancellor. Good morning, Azard.
Good morning. How are you?
Kortensia in the studio?
Not today.
No, she's off today.
Okay.
Well, she's working elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Working
and the
elsewhere.
reason why I don't normally call in this early, but I know, you guys juggle other commitments which we have, and I think the services that you're doing on the radio is pro bono. So yes.
Pro bono, you
I
think
wanted
so?
to catch you before you leave.
You just stepped into a minefield here, but anyway.
Yes.
I want to get your perspective on this, Azad.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Your perspective. As we notice, our ministers will travel from time to time.
Yes.
And as we speak, I think I saw a photo up with the official leader of the opposition, which is the Premier of Navis, Mr. Matt Brantley.
Yes.
For his travels somewhere in Taiwan or somewhere.
Yes.
And the nation has not heard from the opposition benches, the opposition towards the morass. The voice is not as echoing as it ought to be. Given the analysis of Peter Wickham and how the Labour administration would be dethroned, it's not going to be by a single party. It's a tall order. You hailing from one of the political parties, the PAM.
Yes.
I am an independent. I can vote for anyone I so please to. You hailing from the PAM end of it. I am hoping that there is behind the scenes conversation with other parties, and I would like to see a joint statement from the political parties, the opposition political parties, going forward, so that we, the general public, the people who are yearning for leadership.
But why would it have? Why should it be joint? Why should it be joint, though?
Huh?
Why should it be joint when they're at odds?
Because according to the pundit, I'm listening to Mr. Peter Wickham and those who would test the waters, so to speak, of the thing. A joint statement going forward is like, okay, let's bury the hatchet.
I don't know if Peter Wickham is the weather vane we want to use to divine division politics, honestly.
If there are local posters, if there are local political scientists, let them come forward, because we are not hearing from the civil society in terms of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. We are not hearing from them. Is it warranty? Does it warranty a conversation from anybody?
Well, the
nation needs guidance, and the nation needs guidance. If we're not getting guidance from those who we have given a mandate from, that is what the opposition is there to provide that guidance. Otherwise, they are like shadow ministers.
Thank you, Africa, for your concern.
Let me hear your take.
Yes.
Azard.
Thank you so much.
I will hang up. I want to hear Azard take from a political perspective.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, so James is telling me there's another call too. So we're going to take the other call, and then we'll address both. Go ahead, caller.
So good morning, peace to all.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. And how are you guys doing?
I'm wonderful. In fact, it has been a very beautiful morning so far.
I guess my name is Lincoln David Pell. I'm one of the deputy political leaders for the People's Action Movement.
Yes, Mr. Pell.
I must then say that our party is based on a philosophy of people first. And therefore, everything that we do is in relation to betterment of our country and our people. Now, there are things that are certain different. There are philosophies and policies, and therefore, one, as my good friend before might want us to do, might sound good. But then at a certain point, we keep bashing countries that have a one-party system. But however, every political party and everyone in a nation have a right to voice their concern with the development of the country and even crime. It's unfortunate for the crime situation. And like I have been doing, you and I know for sure other person and our political parties calling for peace throughout our nation all the time, even for encouraging persons to hand in their guns. But you know what? Sometimes when persons try to bring something positive, there's always someone to counter that to say why certain person shouldn't do something. And we have to understand that's the problem as well. The political parties are the person, they come from society as well. And even though some of them want good, there's some person who might say something different to what they said, countering that. And therefore, this is where the problem lies.
Also,
so it's not just the political parties to do this, it's the citizens themselves should recognize wrong is wrong and right is right. But sometimes when you say wrong is wrong, some other body can come back and counter you and say, no, wrong is right. And, so we have a problem. It's a society problem and not so much a political problem. The political entity is here to guide and lead the process. But society have to also be actively involved. You were asking a question, my friend?
Yes, I was going to answer what Africa addressed. Of course, the political leader of the People's Action Movement, Mrs. Natasha Shani Gray Brooks, indicated that the focus right now is to make PAM stronger, winning more seats. And of course, she had said in an interview before about if there is necessary, collaboration, if necessary, not ruling it out. Of course, there have been talks about different persons within society who express their different opinions. There are some persons who are saying, the opposition parties should come together. There are some persons saying that, the People's Action Movement should stand on its own. So persons in the community have been expressing so many different views. Of course, the focus as it is right now, based on the statement of the political leader, is to strengthen the People's Action Movement as much as possible.
Yes, and I agree. And what I want our listeners to understand as well, the People's Action Movement have a legacy of economic development and stability. We have done it already, and we have the means and the ability and the same focus to do the same thing, because our philosophy and our policy hasn't changed in the negative. If it changed more for the positive to go forward, because it's to build upon what we would have achieved over our time in Africa. A lot of young persons may not know that, and some of our older persons may, for whatever reason, overlook it or forget it. But if you have to compare, you will see the two. And therefore, I would like to let our listening audience know, and my good friend who was there before, know that the People Action Movement have the ability. And as our political leaders say, if there come the time, needs be to negotiate, because we would have done that with the CCM and with the NRP before. We had our coalition and have everything going good for the nation. And therefore it is not ruled out, but we have to make people understand that the People's Action Movement by itself, as an entity, can do justice and do just as good and better than what we did before when we were in government. So I just want everybody to understand that. And once again, I'm calling for peace in our country, and I'm calling for all of us to remember it is not only affecting the families, but it could affect our nation because we're based on tourism and otherwise. So I just want to end there. Some other time I will call back when I get the opportunity. God bless St. Nevis. God bless Constituency 7, and peace to all.
Thank you, Mr. Pell, for your contribution this morning. And so, dear callers, we want to thank you for your contributions. You have so early off the ball at asking questions and contributing as early as even before 8:30, and we do appreciate your responses. We do appreciate your concerns and your input. We have, of course, 8:30 we're going to have our weekly dose where we're going to be speaking with Dr. Natalie Osborne. The topic this morning is sexual transmitted diseases, or STIs, sexual transmitted infection. So we have a caller again. So caller, you are live on Island T. We await your voice.
Good morning to everybody and greetings once more in Jesus Christ.
Good morning, Gregory. How are you doing this
Good morning
morning?
to everybody. God bless you all.
Likewise,
and
Gregory.
As well.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, really and truly, I'm going to try not to be long. It's very sad, this murder, homicide, let me put it that way, that we have had, and I want to wish that the family of the person and the person's friends,
Yes.
I wish them all my sympathies and condolences. It's a very sad thing. But I will continue to say, we will always be plagued with all of these problems and never able to solve them if we continue down this road of disobedience to the Bible, the Word of God. Because only in the Bible we have the answers, only in the Bible we have the solutions, and it don't matter how much experts we have, it does not matter. We will always be going down this road of destruction and ruin to our demise, unless we repent, biblically speaking, and start to do things the Bible way. Another thing in disobedience to the Bible that the government needs to correct immediately. The government needs to come out and admit that it was wrong, very wrong, in giving the keys of the city to Byron Messiah and putting up his picture at the airport area for the Taliban song that he sang, which have made him very famous. And that Taliban song is a song that encourages and glorifies gangsterism and badmanism. And that is not good. And the government need to come and admit to its error, and the oppositions as well need to speak out on the subject, because they too are part of the problem by remaining silent on the issue. And the DJs them as well need to stop hype up his song and admit that they committed an error, because they're doing a disservice to the nation, but especially to the youngsters, in influencing them in going the wrong way. Entertainment does have consequences. The words of your tongue does have consequences. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Yes. I
want to say one thing before we go to weekly dose. I spoke to the engineer a few minutes ago.
Yes.
He said that electricity has been off at outlet level since Sunday.
Oh wow!
And Skelec hasn't been able to go up to rectify the situation. So I was right. But that could have been the antenna. It's just that I didn't know of any high wind or anything. But apparently electricity has been off since.
Oh, wow.
So the people who are having trouble catching us in the vicinity of Atlas level coverage, we are awaiting Skelec going up to Atlas level to address the power outage problem at the transmitter site there. So
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So 8:30. Let's go
Yes.
to the break, and we have our erstwhile doctor coming up next with weekly dose. Oh, let me correct myself. The good doctor.
Yes. Yes. Certainly.
Found the sound 99.9 FM.
Time is money, and you can save both with CIBC Caribbean. Set up our automatic monthly savings transfers and watch your money grow. Just pick an amount, an end date, and your money will transfer into your savings account each month. So whether it's your little one's future education abroad, a dream car, or a house you can call home, set it and forget it, so you can focus on the now and enjoy the then. Bump up your savings account or open one at CIBC Caribbean.
Join us for the ultimate jerk fest at Jamrock Restaurant and Bar. June 29, 10 a.m. at Jamrock Restaurant in Frigate Bay. Prepare your taste buds for an explosion of flavors at the home of jerk. Featured dishes: jerkfish, mutton, chicken, shrimp, pork, ribs, conch, pigtail, and hot dogs. Featured sides: roast breadfruit, sweet potatoes, yam, festival, and garlic bread. Entertainment by DJ Yachty. All this event is brought to you by Carrick Brewery and ODB. Don't miss out on the St. Kitts Music Festival hottest culinary event. See you at Jamrock Restaurant and Bar, where the jerk is always sizzling and the vibes are unforgettable. Come hungry, leave happy.
We now join the Boogie and Doctor, and
Yes, I was just telling the good doctor in here that I absolutely love her color this morning.
yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah,
It's
Is
what
that
a
lemon
shade of
green?
yellow.
Chartreuse.
I think
Yeah,
you say chartreuse. Yeah, I think
Chartreuse,
there's a mixture, hint of yellow in it somewhere. I see though from my angle. So it's really.
I'm good at colors. I
Yeah.
noticed, and I always remember the fancy color names because the minute I saw that, I say, "Isn't that chartreuse?"
Yeah.
Huh?
Because I am seeing from my standpoint here, and I might be biased, I'm seeing a lovely shade of yellow. Whatever yes you want to call it,
And it's not quite that electric green is not quite the electric green is a little more saturated.
It's almost like a blend between this yellow and green. In a perfect match. Yes. So a perfect balance. So here we have our topic, and we want to welcome you again. Of course, it's Tuesday. We're here with our weekly dose, and we get our medical information from you, Dr. Osborne, and we appreciate it so much. And this morning, it is all about STIs. I wonder, was this topic brought under contemplation because of the summer activities or whatever we are going to be having very shortly? So you thought best to educate persons?
Yes, because this topic is a topic that is necessary every day and any day, but it did come to mind contemplating and thinking about the activities, all the festivals, the parties and stuff. And once we have a lot of socialization and a lot of alcohol, we can then have a lot of behaviors that are a bit untoward and that we need to discuss because it's very important. So you said STIs.
She always looks at me extra hard whenever alcohol is mentioned.
Yes, I think she knows something, or maybe she has a hint somewhere.
No, we're here on business, so we're going to be talking about sexually transmitted disease. Yes, so to begin with, we know that this is a problem that affects us all here locally and worldwide. So it's a very fitting topic. And especially, as you said, when people are in festivities and all these events and stuff, people can have, people can be more social. That's all I'll say. So I'll start by giving you some key facts. So listen carefully. I want our audience to hear these facts. And then we'll get into a lot more of the discussion.
Certainly. We look forward to it.
In the United States, there are about 20 million new cases of sexually transmitted infection or sexually transmitted diseases that are diagnosed every year. The medical costs for these are over $16 billion. More than 1 million sexually transmitted infections are acquired every day worldwide, the majority of which are asymptomatic. And we're going to know that that is very important. Each year, there's an estimated total of 374 million new cases of sexually transmitted infections, which include chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, and trichomoniasis. More than 500 million persons between the age of 15 to 49 are estimated to have genital infections with herpes simple virus. So the herpes infection is associated with 570,000 cases of cervical cancer. We know that is the main cause of cervical cancer in 2018, and over 311,000 cervical cancer deaths each year. So all these are facts. So almost 1 million pregnant women were estimated to be infected with syphilis back in 2016, resulting in over 350,000 adverse birth outcomes, including 200,000 stillborn. So the baby was born dead. Okay? So the STI's impact on sexual reproduction health is enormous. It can lead to infertilization, cancers, pregnancy complications, and an increased risk of HIV, which is itself an STI.
Yeah.
Quick question. What's the difference between a stillbirth and a miscarriage? Is there a difference? Or is just...
Yeah, because this baby is to term, and when you deliver that baby,
it dies. As opposed to being dead.
Yes. So a stillbirth is that as you deliver that baby is dead, but it is to term. Okay?
Mm-hmm. It is, yes. Wow. As you give this information, you give these facts, the facts that you have presented, it comes to our mind really the impact of STIs. I mean, we talk about it, we discuss it, we know of it, but when you hear the information as you have given it, it really gives in the focus that, wow, this thing is serious and this thing is real. So, the first question, doctor, and for persons listening, could you give us the definition of a sexually transmitted infection?
Okay, so a sexually transmitted infection is any infection that one can develop or acquire through any type of sexual activity. Okay, it may be a virus, it may be a parasite, it may be a bacteria. It involves any sexual contact, the mouth, the anus, the vagina, or the penis, and also sex toys. You can have that disease, okay? These diseases are very contagious, okay? And they can be very serious, leading to infertility and up to death. Some of them are curable, not all are curable, but you can manage them, like the herpes simplex virus and the HIV. These have no cure, but they can be managed so that the person has go on to live a healthy and a prolonged life.
Thank you for that. Could you give us the types of sexual transmitted infections?
So some of the more common ones, and there are quite a few of them, but you would hear about a lot of these. We know about chlamydia, which is a bacteria spread to oral, vaginal, or anal sex. Okay, the bacteria is called chlamydia trachomatis. You have things like gonorrhea. You would hear it in the street called clap, caused by the bacteria Neisseria gonorrhea. You hear about things such as syphilis, okay, trichomoniasis. You have a herpes simplex virus, which is a type of virus, okay, that can affect, it has type 1 and type 2, okay, which can affect the oral cavity. You can also have it affecting the genital areas. You have genital warts that is caused by the HPV virus or the human papilloma virus. You have different types, like 6 and 1 are the two causes genital warts. You have the some of them. You have 16 and 18 tend to cause the cervical cancer. It is very common. You have things like HIV, hepatitis B. Yes. And you have others, okay, so syphilis, as we mentioned before. So they're quite, you've heard of things like crabs and stuff. Those are all sexually transmitted diseases.
Yeah, people have so many, common references, names for these sexual STIs, yeah. So could you tell us how common it is for persons,
But because of the data that I mentioned, in the millions, over 500 million persons are diagnosed every year. Over 1 million persons worldwide are diagnosed every day with a sexually transmitted disease. Okay, in the United States, we know that more than 25 million sexually transmitted infections occur every year. Worldwide, over 374 million. As according to the CDC, approximately 2.5 million cases of chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis occur in the United States in 2021. Okay, and half of these cases occurred in individuals between the age of 15 to 24.
Yeah, I guess that they're very active during those age.
Yes.
Yeah. So here, could you give us some of these symptoms? And we know that from the different ones would have different symptoms.
Yes, so depending on the type of sexually transmitted disease, of course, your symptoms may vary. A lot of the symptoms usually appears around your genital region. You could have bumps and sores and warts, like in herpes, you've got the syphilis, the chancre that you can have that occurs on the penis, on the vagina, the mouth, or the anus. You could tend to have a lot of itching in these areas as well. You can have discharge from the penis, and you could have a vaginal discharge with a bad odor. It can change in color. You can also have a vaginal bleeding that is out of the norm, out of the normal menstrual cycle when you're not having your menstrual cycle. And also pain during sexual intercourse. You can have pain when you urinate, okay? And so there are lots of things. Other things can appear, like you have a skin rashes. Persons who have a weight loss with things like HIV, diarrhea, night sweats, aches, pain, and fever. So some of these symptoms can be seen oftentimes during the early instances that they're just symptoms of flu, and they may go unnoticed. Persons who have can have things like jaundice if they have a hepatitis, like a hepatitis B, which is sexually transmitted. So the symptoms are varied, but most commonly you have a lot of symptoms in the genital region, the itching, the burning, the rashes, the lesions that are there, the blisters, the sores, pain when you urinate, pain in the lower abdomen. Those are some of the common symptoms.
Yes, and of course, I mean, we all know the causes, but it's good to always have, from a medical aspect, the breakdown. You know, there's so much science behind it. People, you know, it's transmitted as a result of so many different things. Could you give us the science behind it in terms of the way in which sexual transmitted infections are caused?
Okay, so, well, it's going to happen to some sort of contact because these things are contagious, okay? And we know that there are bacteria like the chlamydia and the gonorrhea, okay, and the syphilis. You have virus like the HIV virus, the herpes virus, the HPV virus, parasites like trich. And a lot of these, they come in contact, any kind of body fluids that you may come in contact with, whether it be blood, the semen, the saliva, the vaginal discharge, okay, the oral cavity. So a lot of times these are how these viruses or bacterial in sexually transmitted disease, through these sexual activities, they're transmitted. There must be some kind of contact, okay, usually via oral sex, vaginal, penile sex, even in individuals who have sex with men or women with women, some of these diseases can be transmitted. So there must be some bodily fluid that is exchanged.
Yeah. Could you, would you say that these sexually transmitted infections are contagious?
Of course, they are very, very contagious because they pass from person to person through these bodily fluids and contact with touching, exchanging of saliva, contact with the oral cavity, the anal cavity and stuff. So we know that there must going to be some kind of contact with that. And even in instances where a mother who's pregnant, she can pass on these viruses or these illnesses to the baby during delivery. Hence why it's so important during pregnancy that a woman is screened for all of these infections and STIs, and if positive, they can be treated, all right, to decrease the transmission, the vertical transmission to the newborn.
So, doctor, what are the risk factors for sexually transmitted infections?
Well, just being sexually active. The mere fact that, because we said these are sexually transmitted, if you've never had any kind of sexual contact, you're not at risk. There are rare instances, but very rare, that they can be transmitted through blood transfusion, some of these diseases like the viruses. But as the blood is screened now, you have a very limited chance of a person can develop these illnesses. But though any type of sexual activities, this is a risk. Having multiple partners is a risk. men having sex with men is an increased risk for a lot of these sexually transmitted diseases. If you share needles, persons who are drug addicts, sometimes they share needles because it's limited, and so there's one person has hepatitis B or HIV, you can contaminate the needle and stuff. Anytime you have any of these things like piercings or tattooing, if the conditions are not sterile, you can have even an instant where somebody is reusing some of these needles because they think that they are very expensive, and then so if they're not in good conditions or proper conditions, you will have that difficulty.
I think it might be a good idea to say tattoos are very cool now, and piercing might be a good idea to give people some kind of things to look for when they go to get tattoos, like to make, well, I mean, how do you make sure that
one of the things
these people are properly, are they supposed to present maybe a certificate or?
Usually, these should be regulated under the healthcare system. You want to make sure that they're opening the needle in front of you. That's one of the telltale signs.
That's what I wanted to hear. Okay.
You make sure that they're opening this new needle in front of you. So you that's one of the best way.
Great.
And so you want not sharing any needles, and you want to make sure take away the stigma of communicating with your partner. Anytime you have a new partner, you're at risk of developing or having a sexually transmitted disease. But before you have that sexual contact, of course, you have that communication. You should ask your partner some of the following questions. Have you ever had an STI? Do you have active STI? Any symptoms? When were you last tested? Okay, are you currently being treated for STI? I know these conversations are difficult to have, but it's very important to have them, and especially before you get intimate, you have these, okay? And you may want to, especially if you're unsure, which we encourage always, use protection during a lot of, with your sexual partners or with new partners, okay? And if you're having multiple partners, I know some persons do that.
You know, these questions are important, as you say.
But sometimes difficult to have. It's very hard for you to have these questions.
There are persons, you know, if you were to ask all of these questions, they would probably think of you strange. But of course, there are questions that are very necessary because the occurrence.
But to think about it as that, if you're very uncomfortable having these questions, you should be even more uncomfortable having this sexual contact.
Yes.
One time, a friend of mine, and this is important now, a friend of mine said that she was in a lecture in school, and the professor said to us, to the class, why is it that it's so much more easier to share your body than to share your bank account details? Think about that. And it should be the reverse. Your body is the most precious thing that you have, okay?
Yes.
And we share it so easily. Why can't we have these difficult questions before? So it means if you can't have these conversations, maybe you're not supposed to be having sex with this individual, because it means that you don't have that openness, you don't have that transparency. Are you following what I'm saying, Jamster? So you must have that, because what happens too oftentimes, we're rushing into that sexual relationship too early as well. What happened to the courting and to get to know you? We're doing less and less of that. And so that you become comfortable in having these difficult conversations before you introduce the act itself.
Yes. And I think this follow-up question is important because after asking those questions, you ask because you know there are great complications associated with sexually transmitted infections. So, doctor, could you tell us some of the complications?
Well, we know a lot of them, even ourselves. We've heard about HIV. That leads to AIDS, okay? And so you want to make sure that you have these, you're protected so you do not have this, because this complication or this HIV disease is non-curable. So you don't have a cure for it. You can live with it, but there is a lot of stigma associated with it as well. You can have syphilis, which can damage your organs, okay? If it is untreated for years, it can then affect your central nervous system or your brain. It can help lead to complication in your newborn or the fetus, leading to stillbirth, leading to death, okay? You can have persons who have things like infertility. A young male who's been quite active throughout his years from 20 to 30, and then when he's ready to start a family, he's unable to do so because he's contracted several of these sexually transmitted diseases that led to scarring and infertility, and he's unable to reproduce now when he's ready. So a lot of these risks associated with women can be a pelvic inflammatory disease. You would see these women keep coming to the hospital with low abdominal pain, and you don't know why, because they've had these recurrent sexually transmitted infections leading to inflammation. Ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic pregnancy is when the egg, the fertilized egg, is deposited elsewhere other than inside the lining of the womb or the uterus. It could be in the tube, it could be in other places in the abdominal cavity itself, and that is a major risk as a result of sexually transmitted disease. Infertility, we said chronic pelvic pain. So women would appear with these chronic recurrent pain, and it's because of these long-standing sexually transmitted disease. In men, you could have infections of the prostate, prostatitis, chronic infection of the tube that runs inside the penis that is called the urethra. Your testicles can become swollen and inflamed and painful. We call that epididymoarchitis, where you have these infections, and infertility. And then it becomes a blaming game in your relationship. Which one has a problem, or who has a problem in terms of reproducing? Okay, and the woman saying the man, or the man saying the woman. But because of the choices you would have made in your youth, leads to all of these complications.
Yeah, definitely. So,
and I always tell young people, the person who you love today at 21, most likely is not the person you're going to be with at 31. Think about it. Because persons are changing partners.
Yes.
So you don't give everything. Save something for someone special. I don't know why Azard is laughing. These are things you realize if we were to practice abstinence, we're not here for that discussion though. We wouldn't have any of these problems, and lots of the problems that we do have. If you decided you were going to wait until marriage, you would not have these complications to deal with. Do you agree with me, Jamster?
Absolutely. Yeah. You're always on point.
So we're encouraging the young persons, save yourself for someone special.
Yes. So tell us, doctor, how are sexually transmitted infections diagnosed?
Okay, so there's several ways, and all depends on what STI it is. Through blood tests, you can do swab of the inside of the penis, the urethra. You can do a swab of the cervix of the female. That's the inside of the vagina there, the bottom of the womb. You can do urine tests as well too. So if there's a discharge, you want to take sample of that discharge from the vagina, whether it comes from the cervix, the penis, even oral cavity as well too. So most of these testing are painless, but it's important to have these testing, especially if you suspect that you have symptoms, or it is encouraged that it's done yearly as well. Or especially once you start having a new sexual partner, you meet someone new, both of you can have go and get tested together to ensure that no one has any disease. Because oftentimes too, lots of these diseases are asymptomatic, so you don't know when you would have developed this, okay? And if you're not checking on a yearly basis, you will not know when something new appears. And then there's a finger pointing when you have a disease, who gave it to who, and how long somebody has had it.
Yes. So how are sexually transmitted infections treated?
So they're going to be treated based on the type of disease. Okay, most of the bacterial infections like the chlamydia, the gonorrhea, the syphilis, they can be treated easily with antibiotics. Lots of these viruses like hepatitis B, you've got things like the HPV virus, they can be managed with antiviral viral treatment, but they're not cured. You try to control some of the symptoms so you don't have those breakouts as much, like the sores and the ulcerations that you can have in the private areas, but they're not curable. HIV, now we know that persons are living longer because of the antiviral drugs that we have, but that disease is not cured, okay? But if you have STI that can be treated, it's best that you get treated so you don't go on to have the complications that we've already mentioned, and you reduce the chance of spreading it to someone else. Because there are persons who know that they may have something and willingly have intercourse with someone else
Here's
with a level of disregard.
Here's a question for you. Are there any of these STIs where, well, I guess this would most probably apply to HIV. Mm-hmm. Is it possible that when you're on this antiviral regimen and it suppresses the virus to an undetectable amount, can you have unprotected sex and it not?
Yes, there is. Okay, so once your viral load is down significantly and you're controlled by your medication, okay, and your regimen, it is not recommended. It is not recommended because even two individuals who are positive for HIV, you could keep transferring virus to virus,
Yeah.
you know. So you want to make sure that you have protected sex using some form of barrier. Okay.
Another question on
But
the HIV.
not always it is transmittable because not
Okay.
even those because you could be positive and not transmit it to every individual that you would come in contact with. Because there are other factors as well. Apart from the viral load, you're going to have some abrasion, some break in the skin where it is transmitted.
I'd read somewhere that you can actually have multiple strains of HIV at the same time.
Yes, that's why you can
It's
always,
crazy. Oh my God.
all the both individual, you could have a couple, both of you are positive for the disease. You could keep exchanging the virus.
Oh my God.
Among each other,
Okay.
especially if you're not treated in cases where you're untreated.
So, doctor, should we get a HPV vaccine?
Good question.
You've heard about this. This was discussed and I think promoted here locally, Gardasil and some of those drugs. We recommend it from the age of around 9 to 26. It's best given before the individual becomes sexually active in both boys and girls to decrease the HPV viruses like the strain 16 and 18 that cause sexually transmitted disease, the ones that call warts commonly, I think it's 6 and 11. You want to decrease the chances of they having any kind of contracting the HPV, which then can lead to cervical cancer. We know that there's worldwide there's quite a bit, over 300,000 plus cases of persons being diagnosed and dying of the cervical cancer.
I remember when they rolled this out, it was like early 2000s, like
And
widespread in the States, and then and they adapted it pretty quickly here too.
And of course, there's always going to be the pushback because if some people are saying it would encourage your child to have sex, not really. It's the same way we give all these childhood vaccines. That is just another vaccine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a child at like 8 years old is thinking, maybe I should start having sex earlier. I'm getting the HPV. You know, I mean, it's a little ridiculous. Right?
Yes, so yes.
You know?
So, but always they're going to be pushed back with anything that is introduced new. But it is being adapted and persons are much more comfortable.
Yeah. So, doctor, quickly, could you tell us what is expedient partner therapy?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Expedited partner therapy.
Sorry.
So if you go to your doctor and your doctors make a clinical diagnosis most times of you having some kind of STI, they can then give you a script of treatment for your partner, okay? You encourage after if you're diagnosed with an STI to take the treatment and abstain from sexual contact for at least 1 week. But in this instance, the expedited partner therapy, you're sending home a prescription so that the partner can be treated as well. And we're hoping if that's your main partner or your only partner, once both of you are treated, it should resolve the problem.
Okay, so we winding down, but I want us to finish these 2 questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to combine them, and so you could answer. So the first one is, how can we lower our risk of developing a sexually transmitted disease? And the second is, can the spread of the sexually transmitted infections be prevented?
Of course, we spoke about abstinence. So, but outside of abstinence, we have things like you want to make sure if you have any symptoms of these STIs, you want to see a doctor, and you want to make sure get treatment and abstain from sex during those instances. Okay, be sure that you speak to your partner about any positive diagnosis, because that is how you're going to prevent it. Having that open discussion. Use condoms during every sexual contact, especially with a new partner. That decreases your risk of having or transmitting or becoming a victim of these diseases. You want to get vaccinated, like of those STIs that you can get vaccinated, like the HPV, the hepatitis B, okay? And education and counseling is very important. You want to be able to recognize some of the symptoms that we've mentioned, some of them, the vaginal discharge, vaginal itching and burning when you pee, and things like having these small sores or ulcers on your private parts. And you want to make sure that you that the public is aware. That's why we do these conversations every week, to ensure that we educate as much as possible. And we know as these events are coming up, people are going to meet people at these parties, and people are going to be inebriated, and certain things may happen. We encourage you to to have a condom always, so that if something happens, you're well protected. But counseling and education is very important. So we encourage like healthcare workers to go into the schools, talking to the young individuals, going to the colleges and stuff, and even in some of the workplace, because although many adults have heard this information, sometimes they forget and they revert to old habits. Sometimes persons are embarrassed, but with the data that we presented here, millions of people have experienced an STI. So it is that open thing that is still hidden, because it's not talked about, but it's so widespread. And the lack of conversation is what makes it go on and continue the spread of these diseases.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Doctor, we have had such a fruitful discussion here this morning, informative, and I do hope that persons have listened to the information and that they would take notice and ensure that they're safe.
Doctor, before you go, I want you to repeat once again that very simple rule to keep them safe when they go to get tattoos and piercings. No, seriously.
Yes, we have a number of persons
It's very
doing
easy,
tattoos
yeah.
now and getting
Oh yes,
tattoos.
it is.
That's
It is
why
quite popular here, I realize, in more recent years.
Yes.
So that you want to ensure that the individual who's doing the tattooing, the needles are new. They open them in front of you.
Yes.
You're sure that what they're using, they're not
Okay.
reusing anything that was previously used on
I'm
another
happy now.
individual. You're happy? Well, we want to wish everyone a beautiful Tuesday as I head out of the studio right now.
No problem.
Hope you have a great day.
Yes.
Wishing everybody well. Bye-bye.
Yes.
And we say goodbye to the chartreuse lady. It's 9:04. That was another great episode of Weekly Dose, and she will return next week.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.
It's new and only at ICWI, the insurance company of the West Indies. Receive free windscreen cover when you purchase your third-party policy with ICWI. You heard right, free windscreen cover with your third-party policy for only a limited time. If you're a third-party policy holder, take advantage of this limited time offer and switch to ICWI for added protection. Isn't it time you experience insurance the ICWI way? Conditions apply. Click, call, or visit ICWI today. Visit us at 1C Bird Rock Road. Call 465-8753 or ICWI.com.
Are you ready to make your pipe dreams a reality? It's time to dive into savings at Hortford's Building and Nevis Centers with our Pipe Dreams Plumbing Sale. For the entire month of June, enjoy an incredible 25% off on all plumbing items. Yes, you heard right, 25% off. Faucets, sinks, pipes, and more. Don't let your dreams stay on hold any longer. Upgrade your home with top quality plumbing products at unbeatable prices. Whether you're a DIY enthusiast or a seasoned contractor, now is the time to turn your pipe dreams into reality. Visit Hortford's Building and Nevis Centers today. But hurry, this dreamy offer ends with June. Make the most of your home improvement aspirations with our Pipe Dreams Plumbing Sale. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
get inside the party? Well, that for sure is the easiest question I ever get. Let me tell you know what I like to see in a fete. I like to see people jumping up and all of the girls them walking up. I feel the energy up in the air with all of the flags them waving up. I don't give a damn where you're from. Bring a friend and then bring the rum. It's time to bring on your bad behavior and glove. Get something. Fling it up in the air. Fling it up in the air. Fling it up in the air. Get something. Fling it up in the air. Fling it up in the air. Fling it up in the air. I want to see wildness. Every woman jump on a man. I want to see wildness. Everybody jump like a man. I want to see wildness. Bacchanal is what you go see. Cause this is what partying is to me. Listen, that is how we don't free up and get rid of stress. Drinking all the rum, now everyone in a mess. So imagine all the confusion inside of me. When I in a fete and then feeling no energy. I see people nosing off, taking pictures and showing off. All of this kind of thing, so this kill the vibe and then cut the dosing off. I can't deal with that kind of vibe. We just keep the energy high. All of me inside here gonna mash up in here tonight. Get something. Fling it up in the air. Fling it up in the air. Fling it up in the air. Get something. Fling it up in the air. Fling it up in the air. Fling it up in the air. I want to see wildness. Every woman jump on a man. I want to see wildness.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock, that's the sound of Crop Over 2024. Mikey Mercer and Colonel Phillip of WCK. Something called wildness. As Island Tea continues.
To a place for being a different state of mind. High on your energy, I lose all sense of time. The treble and the bass got me tantalized. I feel a change right away. You always bring the vibes. I feel to bump and grind, dip and go down there. A dirty slow wine. That's how you move me. A sweet and saucy wine, yeah. Love how you groove. Bouncing time, you do something to me. You got a hold on me, yeah. Take control of me. Go to the soul of me, yeah. To the soul of me. Bring out the ball in me, yeah. The ball in me. You're my remedy, my therapy. You and me, we got chemistry. Spring, winter, or fall, even in the summertime. It don't matter me at all. Out to party, out to line. Hooked on your melody, I remember every line. Young, wild and free, only one thing on my mind. I feel to bump and grind, dip and go down there. A dirty slow wine. That's how you move me. A sweet and saucy wine, yeah. Love how you groove me. A little bounce in time. You do something to me. You got a hold on me, yeah. Take control of me. Go to the soul of me, yeah. To the soul of me. Bring out the ball in me, yeah. The ball in me. You're my remedy, my therapy. You and me, we got.
So it's 11 minutes after 9 o'clock. So just reminding our listeners and apologizing for the fact that persons within the perimeter of the Atlas level transmission site. So anyone who's having trouble getting us in that vicinity, I've been told by the engineer that the electricity has been off since Sunday at Atlas level, and Skellick has not been able to go to the site to restore. So just bear with us. In the meantime, you can listen to it from WINNMediaSKN.com. You can go to YouTube. Well, I mean, in terms of general listening of WinFM, you can go to the website, WINNMediaSKN.com. That audio stream is always available via the website. Now, when we're doing video streams along with the audio stream, then you'll be able to get us on YouTube, X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. So we got you covered. Okay, so the phone lines are open. You guys happen to want to call about any issues? It's a week for Music Festival, and there might be some things you guys want to talk about. We just had our 17th murder. Okay, so let's go to the phone line. Caller, go right ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Jamster, good morning. How are you?
Hey, what's up?
Jamster, I was driving and I heard our Bible guy made some comments about his usual topic. And, I kind of just cockle. And I heard him say, Jamster, are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah.
All ears.
I'm good. I'm doing good. We still have to unravel this misery that we have. That Greg, and others in the Christian community talks about everything in Jesus and the Word of God, doing the Bible way. For me, Jamster, when I analyze this whole thing, all the events, all the acts that is committed in this book, they are committed by man. Then it posed the question, is man God or is God man? Because in as much as they told us that it's the infallible Word of God written by inspired men, then all the acts in the book were committed by man, because it says God is a spirit. And when you look at the acts of God in this book, God is a mass murderer. And I take no apologies in saying this, because these are facts. If all these events that have happened,
yeah, but you have to apply context, though, right?
Well, you see, context and logic is two different things.
I mean, that's
Jamster. Because, Jamster, God is in all of us and the devil is in all of us. So which are we worshiping? Are we of the lower self, or are we of a higher consciousness? Righteousness, love, unity. Now, when you look at who divided us, whose theology it is in this book, whose theology is the Bible. And when you begin to ask yourself these questions, Jamster, you also have to ask, if civilization began in Africa, weren't we civilized? Weren't we a collective? Because who divided us is still dividing us today with all that we have in the Bible. Christianity. Now, there's a difference between Christianity and spirituality, Jamster. And why most of us are in this misery is because we are feeding flesh rather than the spirit. Let me repeat this, Jamster. Today, globally, Africans first, in my opinion, because we have to be restored. We are worshiping, we are feeding flesh rather than the spirit. And that is why we are far away from who our ancestors were. Because, Jamster, again, if you look at the creation of Adam in the Garden of Eden, what was Eden? This garden. It was an outside laboratory. And it wasn't even a bone that took from Adam. It was blood, Jamster. But we swallowed this fallacy wholesale, and we believe. We believe, Jamster. I did believe. But I'm not believing anymore, Jamster, because I am knowing. How do I come to know? When you seek, you shall find. And where am I seeking? Within me.
What exactly is a lie, though? Explain to me.
Sorry?
What exactly are you pronouncing a lie now?
Jamster, I am talking to us Africans first because we were traumatized, we were enslaved, we were colonized, and it is deep. And all that we believe without facts, Jamster, when you do your research and you look at the footprints of colonization on your African continent and our ancestors, it is in this book. Because all the acts in this book that was committed, or God said, go and kill these people, and God said, go and kill those people, they were committed by man. And from the Arabs to colonization to the Europeans, they all slaughtered our ancestors, and it is in the book. Jamster, quickly, I want to talk about what Emmanuel Macron is proposing in this new vaccine that he's investing $1.3 billion onto the African continent for the pending virus that would be coming. Today, Jamster, Emmanuel Macron is summoning our African leaders to go ahead with this $1.3 billion on Africa to invest in vaccine. Now, Emmanuel Macron is not even giving this vaccine to the French people or to the rest of Europe. And I am saying, Jamster, oh foolish Africans, our leaders on the continent and in the diaspora, oh foolish Africans who have bewitched you to turn away. Now, Africa have all the herbs that they can create their own vaccine. But yet our old leaders are being summoned by one man to accept $1.3 billion to create vaccine for Africans. So can we trust these people?
Absolutely not. You know, it's funny. I was thinking the same thing when I saw the announcement that they were going to be setting up vaccine manufacturing. The first thing that crossed my mind is, what are they going to put into those vaccines? I mean, it would not surprise me if they put stuff in it to kill us off, you know.
Well, Jamster,
so
no,
that would
quickly,
not surprise me.
I'm on the job right now, so I have to go. But Joe Biden said Africa has all the herbs to invest in new vaccine. But yet he turned around and sanctioned Africans. I mean, these people are, they are not human. We have a common enemy that is destined to destroy life. I was having a conversation with our elderly sister, Mrs. Henry, 2 nights ago, and we were discussing darkness and light. Jamster, everything that is of life came through darkness. Divine feminine, divine masculine, the womb of the woman, even the thought. When you thought about bringing life into this world to your wife, Jamster, it was first a thought in your brain. And there is darkness. And to conceive that baby was conceived in darkness. But look at us today, Jamster. We gravitate to, in him there is no darkness, there is light. But nothing come into this world without darkness. Are you following me here?
Yes.
And look at our people today want to bleach their skin to look like the imitators. Thank you for hearing me, Jamster.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So we have, Now, AZ had to take off for court, so I'm on load. It's 9:21. And let's take a quick look at some of the things that might pique your interest. And now, of course, we heard about the 17th homicide. Let's say homicide. Let's use homicide. All right. Someone just sent me a picture of the person. Once again, I just want to send out my thoughts and I guess condolences to the families affected. It's never a good look. It's never a good look when someone loses their life under these kinds of conditions, violent conditions, violent circumstances. In other stories, I'm reading a note here from St. Kitts Times. It says, Prime Minister Drew's government sets record with 21,000 CBI approvals in less than 2 years. Yet social programs face massive cuts. Moving on. Okay, PM Drew, Philip Martinez, Premier Mark Brantley, and A.J. Wilkin in focus as Timothy Harris emphatically condemns attacks on CBI and the country. And all sorts of things on deck here. Now, that lady, you guys remember the BVI? You guys remember the BVI case with the lady, the head of the Port Authority chief in the BVI, who was tied up in stuff with her son? Well, she's been sentenced to 9 years. She has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. So former BVI Port Authority chief Olenvine Pickering Maynard sentenced to 9 years in major drug trafficking conspiracy. She was the Port Authority chief in the BVI. I think her son, I don't remember what happened to her son, if he's been charged already or what, but yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's see what else is going on. So don't forget, the phone lines are open. You guys can give me a call and we can talk about it. It's it's a week leading up to Music Festival and all that, and I'm sure you guys have things to talk about, Music Festival and otherwise. Alan T, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, what's up?
Is Azard still there?
No, he had to take off for court.
Oh, okay. Well, the lady who is running for Pam, what's her name again? The one that plays as leader?
Oh, Natasha Shani Gray.
Okay. Well, so Natasha Shani Gray, for the leader of Pam, what I would like to say to her is this. Dr. Joe had the perfect opportunity to bridge the war between Pam and Labour, and he failed. He has failed. I think he's being coerced by his advisors into, doing that. But I would like to say to Natasha Gray that she has the perfect opportunity to bridge the gap between the Pamlites and the Labour people and bring them together in terms of making sure that everybody is satisfied. Dr. Timothy Harris promised to do that, and he failed at it as well, too, where he had this big slogan, a pay for everybody, something like that. What I also like to ask,
but I don't understand. What do you mean by bridge the gap? I'm not following you.
For example, every political leader that has gone into the party has promised, like before they go in, that they will be fair to everyone, and when they get in, they basically support more of their own than the opposition, most of the times, in terms of giving out houses, in terms of providing jobs, that kind of thing. There's always a victimization for the opposition most of the times, and there's always favor for their own people.
How do you define victimization? I find that we toss that word around here very loosely.
Victimization.
And then when I assess what is being called victimization, a lot of times it doesn't rise to the level of victimization. I think y'all just toss that word around because it sounds nice. Go ahead.
Well, for example, if you have certain people working not in the government directly, but in high establishments in different jobs around the island, and the opposition gets into power, most of the time, those people who are not directly related to government work will lose that job, and they will be replaced with somebody who supported the existing party that is in power. You could see that happening, or you?
No, but what do you mean not directly? I'm not following what you mean.
For example, the Port Authority, is that a directly government-related job?
Well, it's a statutory corporation.
Right, and tell me name another one that you know of.
But I guess the cable, Skelec, maybe.
What I'm saying to you, you hear people who was working at the airport, for example, not directly in government. The opposition got into power, and the existing party that was ruling last. And you will find some of those people no longer have jobs, especially if they were hardy supporters of the party that was trying to get in. You know, which is wrong. You have your own free right to
I agree it is wrong. I agree it is wrong, but I also agree it's wrong to misuse the word victimization. Because sometimes people...
When you said that in sync it's to a normal petition, they understand you exactly what you're talking about. You might disagree with it because of your different perspective in the wording. But when you say that to a normal petition on the vision, they will understand where you're coming from. And they could relate to other people out there who have that houses are being given out, who normally will get houses when they're giving out back then.
Back then, meaning?
Well, yes. I mean, right now,
houses. As far as I'm concerned, it should not be based on who. It shouldn't be based on who you vote for or who you support. I'm sorry.
That is what I call. That exactly is the sense of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But besides that.
But then, you know, there's enough blame to go around with the supporters as well, because the supporters have this idea in their heads that, they gave whichever party happens to be ruling, they gave the opposition person a house before me. This is ridiculous. Suppose the person. No. What I'm saying is, suppose the person was in the line ahead of them. But this, you see what I'm saying? Meaning, let's say they're doing it based on a first comes first serve basis, and maybe a PAM person is number 22 in line, but maybe you have 3 labor people. One of them is 41, one of them is 30, and one of them is 50. And they say, they gave the PAM person. Well, maybe you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying
people who. Yes, I understand.
I'm with you, you know. It's just that I just feel like we have to be a little more careful with the use of the word victimization, because take for example, I expect that a government a prime minister would want to, let's say, he would want to remove people in sensitive areas. Because, you know, a lot of these positions, especially advisors and certain positions, are discretionary based on what the prime minister wants to do, right? But I keep saying, I keep saying it. I feel that when you have a change of government, the prime minister, whoever it is, should make an appeal to people's patriotism and professionalism before you start firing people. I'm gonna die on this hill. Give people a chance to rise above petty politics. And you see what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Hello? Okay. Oh, he's gone. Okay. So yeah, I feel like when governments change, the prime minister should have like maybe a national speech, or even have like I don't know. Maybe go to each department, have a meeting with everyone and say, hey, listen, I'm not firing anyone. I just want you, we're all Cartesians and divisions first. If you love your country, I expect you to be professional and patriotic and put the country first. As long as you do your work, you're good. What's wrong with that? Call or go right ahead.
Yes, I got cut off, but I understand exactly what you're saying. The other thing I'd like to address is this theologian guy who calls in, which I don't give him wrong for calling in and that, but he makes the Lord, our Lord Jesus, sound so boring and so, out of date. But what I would like to say to him is this: he must remember that it's God who sets up government and takes them down. In the very first government that God gave, Israel said they wanted a king like the other nations, and God said he didn't want that, but he gave them a king, and he said, the king that I would give you, he will turn your sons and daughters into slaves, and he will tax you and do all this. And he said, nevertheless, we want the king. And he got the king, and the first king was tall above everyone else. He was very handsome, and he failed. And then David came in, and then from ever since, God has set up and taken down.
Who was that king? What was that king's name again? Was it Samuel or something like that?
Sorry, second?
What was that king's name? Was it Samuel?
I think it was Saul. Saul was the first king of
Israel.
Israel.
Saul. That was the one that David succeeded, right?
Correctly,
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
But I'm saying to him that he must remember this. I would like to ask him this question. If God is so perfect and all so known, how could he make an angel that eventually would fall away, take one-third of the kingdom of the sons of God from him, and end up being, if I may put it this way, a thorn in God's side? That means God made a mistake. But it's not a mistake, because in my little devotion and my quiet time, I've asked the Lord, how could you cast down an evil one upon the earth long before you're going to populate it with man who will cause the falling away from righteousness to evil? And these things have been shown to me the reason why it happened. God don't make mistakes. And he's supposed to understand this concept. So when he comes on saying that, well, we have to follow the Bible, yes, we have to follow the Bible, but he must remember that God is sovereign and he is in total control of everything. The lady said that God was a mass murderer. Yes, God has wiped out a lot of people, but because of their agenda and purposes. The very first man, which was very moving to me, who was righteous and gave a good sacrifice to God, God allowed the wicked to slay him. But before that happened, God said to the wicked that sin lay before your door, and it desired to have you. And he said to the very thing that was designed to have him, that it shall have him. God was setting up something. I will say this one last thing to you, Jamster. If you are familiar with science, our galaxy is called the Milky Way. And there are many more galaxies that has been discovered by the James Hubble telescope, the most amazing telescope that has ever been invented. Why do you think those galaxies are out there? And ours is the Milky Way. There is a purposeful existence of life in this earth when that time is past. And listen, man don't really die. If that theologian read the Bible, it says that God created male and female. He created them simultaneously. At a later date, he put the spirit to sleep, and he breathed into the nostril, and that spirit became a living soul. Later on, that spirit, God put that man to sleep and took a rib from that man and performed the woman. But in the beginning, both was created spirits before they were created humans. The most important thing to the Almighty is not our body, it's not even our spirit. It is what the experience we get in the earth, which is our soul, our mind, will, and emotion. That's the honest thing we take with ourselves when we die. The spirit go back to God, the soul go back to the earth, and that soul is what God really uses to determine who will live in eternal life and who will live in eternal damnation. Man don't really die. They're going to exist either in a place of separation or a place of togetherness with God. That's about it.
All right, Carl. Okay, so yeah, you know these religious conversations are always rife with issues and so on. Okay, let's take a quick break and come back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
Magnum, my brand. Everybody put your Magnum in the air now. From you a drink Magnum, make me see. Take charge of things now your place now. From the river to the beach to the street. Hot Magnum when me have in a me hand there. Give her a sip and she tell me sweet. Look for me watch for your quick time check. Yeah. Right now a Magnum a for your beat. Enjoy yourself every day of the week with a Magnum. My life I forget sweeter. Must be 18 years and older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Feel the magic happening. Campari. Taste.
Something incredible happens when Campari is mixed just right. Like Campari and orange juice poured over ice. Taste it. Try it tonight. Bitter, sweeter, better. Campari. Must be 18 years and older. Drink responsibly.
When you hear the rhythm, start to move. When you hear the rhythm, start to move.
And we continue the discourse. We go back to the phone lines. Island T, you're on the air. Okay, we just had 2 calls there. I'm gonna go back to the phone lines. Okay, so keep the calls coming. There are always things to discuss. So okay, here we go. Back to the phone lines. Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, good morning, Jamster.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I'm gonna change the dimension a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know, for some reason, why we always seem to get into problem with white folks. Especially, I'm talking about with the CBI.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really do not know why. And according to the CBI, I would like to see the government go into the house and put this into place. Like, if you're a citizen in St. Kitts and you have not visited here, or you never been here within 2 times in 5 years, you automatically lose your citizenship. I don't think you should be owning a passport and you've never been to St. Kitts. That is just my thing.
I don't even think, I actually don't even feel like there should be different tiers of citizenship. I feel like there are certain things that should be, certain privileges and so on that should be withheld if you're not born here.
I think so too.
And look like me. I'm sorry, because no. And the reason for this is, I mean, take for example, over in you ever notice they don't ever have any energy? Them folks never have any energy for the Asians about their tendency. Their tendency to be all about Chinese first, Japanese first, Koreans first, Indians first in their countries. Yeah. They never have any energy for them, but they always have energy for us, to criticize us for whenever we make moves to to make sure that our own look for our own, except that the problem with us is that usually doesn't happen. To your point, they always seem to want to they only seem to have energy for them folks. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's like, well, don't do what I do.
They'd rather see them folks get rich and get ahead in their country than their own people. So you're not saying anything wrong.
Sad to hear about the nether murder.
Yes.
It's a shame to see that this thing happening in a small island like this thing so easily, and we're not even catching the folks who are doing these things. It's very sad.
Yes, it is.
So we have to import man. A woman can't get a local man soon. So sad. Anyhow, man.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to another call. Caller, go right ahead. It's 9:40. Go ahead.
Morning, Jamster.
Hey, morning.
It's good to hear your voice this morning. I missed hearing it yesterday.
So what's on your
Jamster,
Yeah.
for what you just said, you cannot keep blaming. You cannot keep blaming them. I'm just going to say them.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, let's use the Caribbean. Let's use our own little island.
Mm-hmm.
When them come down to our country, they only have to come with a briefcase and the pigmentation, and they...
And our politicians bend over.
And they get
basically.
Everything. You can go into the government with the same plan as them, as you call them, and the government will give them all the leeway to go on and do what they want. They get you fast. And you who is a citizen, you hanging out there, they will not give you what they give them. So let us stop blaming them and put it on us. We're the one who give them
but if
that
you notice,
authority and power.
If you notice at the end there, I said that, our own tend not to be about our own. They tend to be about them folks, right? So, yeah. So, but you're right. Absolutely. We had another. You still there, Claire?
No, I'm gone.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah. So she's right. this has always been a problem. And I would expand this discourse a little further and say, why is it that we always seem to find, why is it our politicians always seem to find the less than savory folks to do business with? This guy Martinez, from what I've read, is a known criminal or something. I don't know. Well, how is it they always find these? How come they don't find law-abiding, well-intentioned folks who want to invest in the country? I don't get it. Is it a matter of birds of a feather flock together? Just asking the question. Call right ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, man. Good morning,
Hey,
man.
what's up?
Nice to see you at the helm. And it's good when your voice come forward, man. You got some great, interesting ideas as well. Yeah. Right at this minute, I want to invoke the Brian clause as we're having a small discussion about them and us. What I'm putting it out there, especially to the people in the diaspora who has traveled and migrated outside of the Federation and has acquired, citizenship in foreign countries, especially the United States. Those persons who are naturally born in the Federation is being blocked from coming back and contributing to their own society, while them are coming in and having more privileges than us, who are naturally born citizens. You know what I mean? The playing field got to be equal here. You know what I mean? A person that was not born in St. Kitts and Nevis should not have more rights than me, bro, who was born there, or other persons. It's not about me. But let me put that out there. All the people in the Federation, who in the diaspora, who has migrated out, they are only calling us to come home to vote. But we need to have that privilege to also run and put our names on those ballots. You know what I mean? Equal, no taxation without representation. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the equal privileges, bro, like other people coming in. They're blocking us out, bro. That's my small contribution. But Julian Assange, highlighting some current events. Julian Assange is being released, bro.
Yeah, I saw that.
Guy, there was an agreement made with the U.S. Justice Department. He's being released, and we're watching uprising and protests in Kenya.
But with the Assange thing though, a judge can overturn that. Huh? A judge can rule that no, he can't get away.
If somebody appeals,
if somebody appeals, yeah.
But right as of now, he's being freed. And, our local politicians got to pay attention to these kind of stuff. I mean, the lady from Tatola got 9 years, and her son was sentenced to 5 years. This RICO case coming up on the mainland is very important.
Yeah, I was trying to remember.
You got to pay attention to what's going on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but thanks a lot, Jamster, man.
Okay,
keep the
great.
discussion going, man. Let me let somebody else get in,
Oh,
man.
yeah, actually, I have another caller here. Caller, go right ahead. Hi, caller.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm on the air.
Yes, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Okay, good morning. Everybody pushing for this free movement of people, free for all. What happened to people who go around born the children overseas? Why are they giving them so much trouble when they bring them in the country? Telling them they have to get the register. My children, them, what paper have on my name? I born in St. Kitts, so why we can't get the same privilege like them? They're want to know how long your child going to stay there and you have to go get your child register. That's not fair. They could go burying wrong and take off but paper and name and that kind of thing and get the children them register. What happened to me and adults who born there? And this crime thing again. This crime, is nothing but the devil work. Until they got on bloody point where them people went on the up to 1 year made to understand and lego all them thing in the ear, which part them Indian lost their life, they will never get rid of that coin. They need to go conquer them demon where they lego down bloody point. From since that, the youth them not they can't catch themselves. And a woman tell me, she met a pastor from Sandy Point and at airport. He said he has to go saying it's go pray for the country. Because from since that happened, He look the youth, them can't look, they sell out the youth. Somebody tell me it's true or false because I made to understand they went right down by the point and had the whole place they look the plane, they ain't got anything. Them is demon, them Indian, they is demon, I don't trust them. You have a blessed day.
Hello. Let's move on to another call. Caller, go ahead. It's 9:47.
Yeah, Trevor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's me. First of all, I would like to ask you a question. Win FM, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does report on a lot of crimes and that sort of stuff. Does that make Win FM an evil entity?
No.
Exactly. And likewise, Trevor, the
Mm-hmm.
Bible reports and records lots of crimes and evils of men.
Mm-hmm.
It does not necessarily make it an evil entity. You gotta take it everything.
No, I agree.
In
I agree with
context.
you. I agree with you. I listen. I get gobsmacked every day with the disingenuous logic some people use, especially them folks that they use to push back against arguments. I'm like, really? I'm like, where did this person go to school? I mean, I saw a video last week. I mean, I honestly, and I'm like, these people say they're the master race and they're so stupid. Honestly,
right.
Some of the arguments I hear, I'm like, I'm like, really? I mean, like, the disingenuousness is off the chain, and the lack of a lot of times I'm seeing the lack of reasoning power. I'm like, I was watching a video last week, right?
Yeah.
You know these Hebrew Israelites guys, they do this proselytization thing on the streets, right? In the US. In the US. Well, I'm not going there, but they were talking to this this white girl, and she was saying that she's gay, right? And the guy was quoting the scriptures in the Bible that prove that, you know, homosexuality is, and she, you know, she said love is love, and then the guy said, no, love is not love. I mean, love is not love, because you can't say water is water. You're not going to go and drink water out of a drain or out of the toilet. Right. So water is not water, right?
Right.
And then she said, so that means, she said that means God is hate then. I mean, this is the kind of logic. I had to put my hand over my face. I'm like, really? Because you can't. I mean, this is the kind of reasoning that I can't even describe how gobsmacked I was at the time at the kind of reasoning she was using. You know, it just, I don't know. And a lot of it is, and you realize, it makes you realize that I think a lot of us had a pretty good schooling here, especially. I think a lot of people went to boys' school, and so I feel like we had a very solid schooling, because some of these people can't reason. I don't understand it. And they have this way of treating everything the same. You know what I mean? Are you there? Okay, looks like that person. Caller, go right ahead.
Sorry, you got cut off?
Oh, well, yeah, it seems so. Go ahead.
Okay. What I can to also say, you see, I don't really want to dwell on this because I think I read that with it anytime, but
yeah,
I would also like to say, God is the creator of everything, He is the sustainer of everything, and He has the right to do as He feel like. Like when He wipe out the whole world in Noah's death, except Noah and his family. God has the right to do as He feel like.
I agree.
Not we His creatures. We His creatures or Him.
I agree with you, Greg. And you know, I hate to hear, and I hate to hear when people they actually, you know, you hear people pull that the Bible is the most violent book ever, or like my friend was saying earlier, that God is a serial. I mean, ridiculous. Where's the context? You know.
Well, when you're using such illogic, you can't use context because context go against illogic. God has the right to do it because
Exactly.
He created us and He sustained us all.
I mean,
We breathe in His ear.
who are we to question?
Exactly. But Trevor, yes, exactly. But what I also want to say quickly, since time is not on our side, you mentioned our government get in relationship with unsavory characters. Okay, and as I've told you, and as I've said again, we the people, with all due respect, we the people, we continually put all kind of demands on our government to do all sorts of stuff, to provide all sorts of stuff. And we forget that all of these things that we pressure in and trying to force the government to do cost money. And not only do they all cost money, all these demands, but month by month the inflation goes up. And so if you need to do $100, if you need $100 to do something today, maybe next month you need $150 to do the same thing because inflation is going up. And so all of these whammies come together, converge together, and exponentially increase the government expense to meet our demands. So until the government increase the taxes on us to get back the money to meet the expense of the demands that we are putting on them, and that they are trying to do, the money that they have to find, with all due respect, pressures and forces them to enter into relationships that are not good in order to get the money quickly to do these things that we are demanding of them to do until they put up the taxes on us.
But shouldn't the government be the responsible parent, if you will, that would explain to the irresponsible citizens that that's not how it works. If you, for example, if you want so and so, you have to be prepared to pay a little more in taxes. And
once you're demanding of the government to do whatever you
and those kinds
have
of
to
things.
prepare to pay taxes.
And also, we've seen successive governments breed a kind of gimme, take kind of mindset and mentality in the citizenry, where people think everything comes for free. People don't want to pay for anything, And I feel like that's a big. I feel like
mentality.
I feel like and they promote that, and I feel like that's a bad look, and you also can't have a government lurching from crisis to crisis, and what those crises are is every time people complain, like a bunch of spoiled toddlers about, we didn't get this, we didn't get any $500 dividend, or we didn't get this, and you keep lurching from crisis to crisis, and you keep spending money just to keep people happy. You should be spending money. You should be spending money for the greater good, but not in this irresponsible kind of stopgap. This kind of stopgap unstructured way that they do. I don't know if I'm explaining it properly, but I think you understand.
I understand you're explaining it properly. I understand you're explaining.
You can't run a government like you're trying to keep toddlers happy. It's almost like the country's being run like it's a daycare center. And kids, toddlers are notoriously self-centered, right? They don't care about the other toddlers or where the electricity that runs the daycare center is coming from, and how the people the people attending to them get paid. They want their mashed bananas. No, And they want the juice now,
True.
and I don't care about the other toddlers sitting next to me. And then you know, that's how our government operates. And they go and they blow up the budget because they're trying to keep people happy.
True.
You know?
But Trevor, what I would, Jamster, what I would also say is that if our government was even half responsible, they would tell the people them, hey, these things you all are demanding of us for us to be doing. And you ain't just demanding, but your demands are increasing day by day. These things are not free enough.
Gregory,
you're gonna have to pay for them.
Gregory, if I if I ran for government, right? If anybody were to vote for me, I'd probably get one term because I'll tell them straight. I said that's not how it works.
You talking about you getting one term? I wouldn't get one vote.
But that's what I'm saying. No, probably nobody would vote for me, but I'd get one term because this nonsense. I mean, I don't care about the next election. I care about the long term, and that's the way. I always use the example of A&R Robinson in Trinidad. When he set up a rainy day fund for Trinidad and Tobago, right? We'll put aside the oil money, and he was criticized for it at the time. And then after he died, and I think might have been 2008 when they had when we had the downturn and they had that money to tap. I know they were singing his praises. Oh, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Robinson. We should be put him on a pedestal now because he had the full sight. And at the time, he was savage for wanting to put aside money for a rainy day fund. And this is something we should be doing as well. All of this money that we raised in the CBI, this money should have been a lot of this money should have been put into investments and so, kind of like bulletproof investments that would redound to the long-term benefit of the country. The Finnish, is it the Finnish or Norway? They have a sovereign fund that apparently they can take out more than a particular amount per year, and if they take out it's a kind of a poison pill setup. Where you can't have politicians dipping in the money and just wasting the money. And I feel like those are the kind of things we need to be looking at for maybe the remainder of whatever is there from the CBI funds, because I'm not even sure if there's anybody left. Because these guys
have access to.
Yeah.
Once politicians have access to money, they will always be dipping their hand into it big time.
Exactly.
And replacing it with IOUs.
Exactly. And because nobody's thinking about the long term. Everybody's thinking about now, spend. No. No one's thinking about. And what's especially egregious is that they're not even thinking about. They're saying, "Oh, let's spend all this money because we don't have to pay for it. We're not going to be in office maybe in 2 terms." And that kind of this kind of toxic thinking across people who are supposed to be stewards of our country's patrimony and the country's livelihood, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, but Jamsa, what I say, our solution would differ. Your solution would be different to mine. But the solution, like I always say, is to go the Bible way, and the Bible way would be for a lot of these things that government are doing, for them to be privatized in a proper free market capitalist.
Yeah, but Gregory, me and you, we don't agree. But I have to go. It's 10:01. I have
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll continue this tomorrow. Okay, folks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I have the Spin Cycle Power Hour coming up next, and we should have Kortensia back tomorrow. She's off on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So when you guys don't hear on Tuesdays and Thursdays for a little while, she won't be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So don't worry, everything's fine. She'll be back tomorrow. AZ will be back tomorrow. So I'm gonna head over to Spin Cycle Power Hour, the nation's best mix of music. And we have music festival this week, so I must sprinkle a little music festival sauce all over everything. Stay tuned.